We have a little rumble in the air this morning. There we go, right on cue. Good morning. Welcome to Thursday of 2022 SEC Football Media Days. We have to begin the day with us Bryan Harsin from Auburn University, who over his head coaching career has led his teams to 5 10-win seasons and 7 bowl games. In 2014, Bryan was the National Coach of the Year finalist. He launched a podcast series this summer that is now 9 episodes in, entitled Huddle with Hars. It's one of the top-rated podcasts on Apple with a 4.9 out of 5 rating. I just had fun. He and I share a mutual appreciation for all things related to the Ford Mustang, and he's, over the last several years, been working on restoring a vintage Ford Mustang and could actually talk more mechanically than I was prepared to participate in, but I think I played it well. His father did spend time as a professional drag racer, which started his love for motor vehicles. And he and his wife, as a personal note, started dating in 8th grade. It's my privilege to introduce to you this morning Auburn University head coach Bryan Harsin.
Yes. All right. You can hear it outside. Good morning, everyone, and glad to be here. Before I get started, I do want to recognize someone that was a large part of Auburn history and Auburn football, and I've got a privilege to hear some of the stories here, but Buddy Davidson, who passed away on Tuesday at the age of 82, many called him Mr. Auburn. And his lifelong devotion to Auburn is second to none. He came to Auburn as a student manager, as a freshman from Montgomery, was part of the 1957 National Championship season, became the SID after graduating, and also then did that for 20 years. In 1981, became an AD, assistant AD handling football and travel, other special projects, and retired in 2007. But he saw, this is what was fascinating to me, he saw every game, home and away, for 61 years. So 1957 to 2017, and he stopped his streak at 700 games as he suffered a stroke in 2014 that limited his mobility and speech. So anyhow, to his family, our condolences, all right, and thank you for the support in War Eagle. Second time here. And excited to be here. And I know some of you out there looking at me didn't expect me to be here, all right, at this time. And I'm going to dive into that here in just a second and kind of address the gorilla in the room here. But really proud of where our team's at. And I'll talk about some of those guys that are with us today and the work that we've been putting in. But going back to what happened back in February, and what I'm going to do now is address it. And moving forward, that'll be the last time I talk about this subject. But there was an inquiry. It was uncomfortable. It was unfounded. And it presented an opportunity for people to, personally attack me, my family, and also our program. And it didn't work. So right now, our focus is on moving forward. And what came out of that inquiry were a lot of positive. There was a silver lining in all of this, because what I saw from our players and our coaches was leadership opportunities for them to step up, which is exactly what they did. And you got a chance to see guys provide leadership. You got a chance to see coaches provide leadership. And what it did, it was united our football team. It united our players, united our staff, it united our football team. And so I'm really proud of our guys, and I'm proud of what something like that, that could be very challenging and difficult for a lot of people, how our guys stepped up and handled it. And we had coaches and players that could have went on and went to different places, avoided all the adversity and the challenges and everything that came with it, and they didn't do that. They're here, they're working extremely hard, and they're doing a fantastic job, in my opinion, to get themselves ready to go for this season. So that'll be the last I talk about that, and there's plenty of interviews on it, so if you want any more information on it, just go Google it. okay? So anyhow, as far as our team, there's 3 players with us right now, and those being Tank Bigsby, Derek Hall, and John Samuel Shanker. And let me just talk a little bit about them quickly. And I'll start with Derek Hall. Derek's a guy that is instrumental in our defense, playing on the edge, and in my opinion, has grown so much over the course of last season and this season. He's a tremendous player, great worker, but just who he is as a person. That's why he's here representing our university, and I'm excited about his progress he's made and where he's going with his game and also his leadership. John Samuel Shanker, recently married. All right, so he's settled down, and one thing about John Samuel, he played baseball until this last year, and we all know what the baseball team did, so he was so proud of his guys, but I know it was killing him as those guys went out there and had a chance to go on and do some of the fantastic things that our baseball team was able to do. But he's going to have a tremendous season, broke records last year as a tight end, continues to improve each and every day. And just his mentality that he brings to our team and to this program is extremely important to our success. And then Tank Bigsby. Tank is obviously a fantastic player, but I think the most improved overall, just in preparation, leadership, and some of the things that we've seen from a really good young player. And his work ethic is second to none. I mean, he's put in the work. He does it on the off days. He does it on Sundays. He does it every chance he gets. And you've probably seen some of the videos that he's posted out there on things he's doing. But extremely proud of those guys and of our team and of our coaches just for the work they've been able to put in since January. Spring practice, how we handled that, how we've handled the summer and some of the new rules and things that have come our way. Those guys have done a tremendous job. So I'm very fortunate to work with fantastic people and to be around fantastic kids. And I am excited to be the head football coach at Auburn. And I'm looking forward to this season and getting started. We got a little bit of an interesting schedule with 5 home games. I'm sure we'll get into that with some of the questions. But with that, we'll open it up for questions.
Thank you, Coach. If you have a question, we have Lisa, Jim, and Jesse that can get a microphone to you. And we'll go ahead and start here in the center aisle, Coach, about 4 rows back.
Good morning, Coach. Johnny Ballpark Franks with Franks Media in Nashville and Huntsville. We often hear the importance of self-evaluation, not only personally, but also from a team concept. What did you learn in year 1 that will help you in year 2 and moving forward with Auburn?
Yeah, well, I think self-evaluation is the number one thing we should all do. Every year. I mean, that's the one thing. We go back after every season and review, like, what did we learn? And it goes all the way back to everything from nutrition to what we're going to do in a 4th down situation. But as far as for myself, I mean, just being a leader, being the head football coach, all right, being in that position, you go back, evaluate, all right, how did I do those things? How did I lead? And really, you want to evaluate, did the message get across and did it get executed? All right, the vision that was provided, all right, was that being executed like, I expected it? And did I provide the right expectations and standards for those things? And in a lot of ways, yes. In other ways, there's areas to improve. And I think that just goes back to your communication and relationship, with your players and your coaches. And one of the things, in this offseason, we made some changes. We have some coaches on our staff I've been with. We have some new coaches that have been brought in that I think have been instrumental in getting to where we are right now. We've had some new players through the portal and through the high school players that have come in that have been great additions. And so, my biggest take from last season is, I think as we build, we got to continue to lay out the expectations. We got to continue to have great conversations. We got to continue to build relationships with our players. And I think the one thing that's made the biggest difference is, bringing some guys in that are helping to make that happen as well. And the alignment that we all need to have in order to, be able to execute those things at the level that we all expect. So, that's what I've taken away from that. And we'll continue to keep growing and developing each and every day, just like our players. It's no different for coaches. I think anybody that thinks they've got it all figured out, they're wrong. And every day you're striving to get better. Every day you're learning. Every day you self-evaluate. And every day you got to find a way to get better.
Coach, we'll stay over here on our right-hand side.
Hey, Coach. Steve Moulton, WZZN from Huntsville, Alabama. I have been listening to your podcast and thoroughly enjoying it. So that leads me to this question. Harder to do, put a winning football team together or rebuilding? I think when you were talking to Dana, you talked about rebuilding a trailblazer. So rebuilding a car or putting a football team together, which is harder?
Yeah. Well, there's a lot less pressure on building a car. Yeah, I can tell you that. It's all part of the process. I think everybody, I'm sure everyone in here has something that you do that has a process, whether it's your work or something that you personally enjoy. Building cars, being around cars, that's something I personally enjoy. It's something I grew up doing. And what I had a chance to be a part of taught me about details and preparation and safety and all those other things. But our football team is the focus. I'm glad you enjoyed the podcast. That's been something that I've thoroughly enjoyed. The coaches get to come over, and we spend 4.5, 5 hours at my house, and we're just talking. And so that's time spent with coaches on my staff where I get a chance to get to know them even better. And they get a chance to share their story. And we got fantastic people, and that's really the purpose behind it, is for everyone to hear what these fantastic people have done to get to where they are. And, we all go through the same challenges. We all go through a lot of adversity. But as far as our football team, that's the focus. That's the number one thing. And it happens each and every day. We talk about 1-0. We talk about how do we make today the very best day for each individual player, coach, staff member in our program, and how do we do that collectively as a team? To me, that's really what the goal is, and that's what our mentality has been. And I think that's why we made some really good advancements in our program, is because we've had that identity. And that will show up. We get into practice, we start doing the work to get ready for the season. Those things will, they're going to show themselves. And I'm proud of that, and I'm proud of where our guys are at because of those reasons.
Coach, we'll go here to our left on the far aisle.
Coach Michael Gittins, War Report, Auburn. Going into year two, recruits may have questions about the identity of Auburn football. You guys have got some work to do on the field this upcoming season. What is the messaging to recruits about why choose Auburn at this point, and how are you guys internally addressing some of the negative recruiting that might be happening this offseason?
Well, I think the message is watch. But we got to go out there and we got to play. I mean, that's the beauty of what we get a chance to do every Saturday, all right? When you get into the arena, you have the opportunity to go out there and settle the score, all right? You have a chance to compete. And that's really what we do this for. We do it so that we can get into that arena and have that opportunity. And so I would tell, and we've told our recruits, watch. And I think the ones that have been on our campus, they see the energy and the vibe and what's happening and how the players are responding and coaches are connecting and everything that we're doing. I mean, there's a great energy in our program right now. There's alignment in our program right now. And I know those recruits and families, they feel that when they step on campus. And Auburn sells itself. It really does. It's a beautiful campus. It's a phenomenal stadium. The people there are fantastic. Everything about it is what you want to be a part of. So now we got to put a product on the field that players want to be a part of. We want to go out there and be successful. Our guys know that. We know that. But our identity, I mean, we're going to develop our players. That's one thing. I know there's been a lot of conversation about name, image, and likeness in the portal and all that. But we're all about development. And we're trying to develop these guys so that when they leave, they're ready to go on and be successful and continue what they've built in our program. I mean, that's one of the best gifts you can give anybody. And I learned as a young coach and experiencing that as a player is development. And we can't forget about that. And I think that's something through character, through discipline, through toughness, all right, through conviction and understanding what that truly means, through integrity and class. Those things are what college is all about. Those are things that we're providing guys with an opportunity to learn and develop in our program. So, it's really about that. And I think it's, when you get on that campus too, like that spirit, that energy, that vibe, they know it. Now we got to go prove it on the field.
Coach, we'll go right in front of me, about 4 rows back on this near aisle. Drew.
Yes, Coach Harsin, Drew DeArmond, WZZN Radio, Huntsville, Alabama. I wanted to ask you, you talked about your staff and retooling it. One guy that's going to be crucial because your wide receiver room, there's going to be a lot of guys that need to step up and produce. Landon King, a guy you converted from tight end, has said some very special things about Ike Hilliard. We saw what he did at Florida as a player and in the NFL. What kind of impact has he had on those guys so far, and what do you anticipate from him on your staff?
Yeah, Coach Hilliard, immediate impact. You know, Ike is one of those individuals that when he walks into a room, there's a presence about him, and you know he knows what he's talking about. And I think the first day he was in that room with those wide receivers, he told them that he loved them, and he was there to help them get better. When he spoke to our team, we did this exercise with every one of our coaches where they got a chance to get up in front of the team and talk about leadership. And Ike's been there. He's done it. Everything those guys want to do, he's been a part of it. And before he began his talk on leadership and what he thought that is and how he was going to explain that to our guys, he told our guys, look, hey, I'm here for you. And if there's any questions you have or anything you want to know, just come by and see me. And it was very cool and just right to the point. And so, you know, if you want to be a part of something at the next level or you want to know how to do it, he's a guy to go talk to because he's been there, he's coached it, and he's done those things. But as far as just his knowledge on the football field, in the staff room, they're second to none. This guy's phenomenal. I mean, we're very fortunate to have him. I love working with him. I love his energy, love his enthusiasm, love everything that he brings to the table. And those wide receivers now, when you got that guy standing up in front of you, if you're not listening, you're crazy. And he's just got that presence about him. So he's got the attention of that room. He's got the attention on the offensive side. And he's certainly got the attention of the team. And he's one of those additions, just like some new players coming in. He's one of those guys that you bring into your program that makes an immediate impact. And you know that, like, this guy's a difference maker. And he's certainly that. So extremely excited about Ike and happy that he's with us and looking forward to what he's going to do with that wide receiver room. Now he's got more depth. He's got more players. You know, he's got guys to go out there and compete, and I think that's going to be a big part of that room succeeding in the future.
Coach, we're going to go over here on our right side, about 3/4 of the way back. Straight ahead.
Hi, Coach. Travis Brown of the Bryan College Station Eagle. What has Zach Calzada brought to your program, and what plans do you have for him in that quarterback room?
Yeah, Zach has been awesome. He's really been awesome. You know, one thing when you're talking about quarterbacks, and I would say any position, but when you transfer, and this goes for all transfer guys, I mean, for whatever reason, that first opportunity that you took didn't work out. And also being a young player and then transitioning to that second year, you also realize you don't know what you don't know coming in. And the one thing about Zach that I appreciate when I asked him, like, you know, what are some of the things that you've learned, like I was asked today, and it was really just about what it takes to be successful at this level playing that position. And so every day he's been there, just the work ethic, the focus, the attention to detail, the little opportunities to do more when he has a chance to do that, has really become his foundation. And so, you know, we appreciate that. We appreciate his leadership. We appreciate just his work ethic. And he has experience. He's played. The only unfortunate thing is we didn't get a chance to have him in spring because of his shoulder going through all the team periods because we hurt him during the season. And so it's one of those that you go back and look on it and you're like, damn, you know, I wish that hadn't happened. But he's with us now and he's getting his opportunities in the summer and he's going to be full go in the spring. And so to me, he's provided a lot. And I think that quarterback room, the competition in that room, the mentality in that room, Coach Keesaw's done a great job because we're obviously going through a competition right now. And every single one of those quarterbacks, they bring something to the table and they're all pushing themselves and they know, like, it's really just about them. It's really about when they get their opportunity to make it count, but also support each other, be great teammates. And then, you know, hey, we'll make a decision on who gets to play. And, you know, maybe it's a couple guys that get an opportunity to play down the road. We don't know that yet, but there'll be a decision made at some point going into that Mercer game of who our starter is going to be.
Coach, we're going to go in section in front of me, about 3/4 of the way back.
Good morning, Coach. Jacob Goins from
morning.
ESPN 106.7 in Auburn. Looking at your schedule this year, obviously it's hard. It's one of the toughest ones in the nation, like it is every year for Auburn.
Does anybody have an easy schedule in the SEC?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, I haven't seen that either.
But you do start the year with 5 straight home games. How important is it to get off to a hot start before getting into the back end of a tough schedule heading to Athens?
Well, home or away, I mean, you want to get off to a fast start regardless. It's great to be in Jordan-Hare Stadium. I think that's going to be, it's so unique. People have asked me. I've never been a part of that. How it was all set up and done, I'm not asking questions. All right, we got 5 home games, and, our stadium, when we were flying over here with Tank and Shank and Derek Hall, we were talking about just different places they played, venues and all that. And our stadium, I don't think there's a better one in the country. And just being a part of a couple games last season, it's phenomenal. So to be around our fans, to have those teams coming in and playing in Jordan-Hare, we're excited about that, to have a chance to be home for 5 straight games. It doesn't really provide any of that travel and some of those things that you talk about as a coach, that we're going to face adversity on the plane and all those other things. But who knows? Maybe the bus breaks down on the way to the hotel at home, right? There'll be something that goes on that we'll have to challenge ourselves to overcome. But, yeah, we're excited about it, and I'm looking forward to, those 5 games at home, having great crowds, great support, that environment that we all know is the best in the country, to be out there going crazy and cheering on our football team, and hopefully we're having success, through those 5 games. And you're right, we get into that back half of the season. It really doesn't matter who you play. You get into that half of the season, that stretch right there, that's the one that, really determines, especially in November, who's going to have a chance to be in those playoff games and who has a chance to play for championships.
Okay, we're going to stay right next door. We have another question.
Coach, Joseph Goodman, AL.com. Good morning.
Good morning.
How did your attitude change after the inquiry in February, and what did that teach you?
Well, I kind of talked about that. I mean, that's one thing. Again, anytime we're going backwards, and this is what I've told our team, anytime we're going backwards and talking about the past, we're not moving forward, we're not in the present, and we're not talking about the future. And so that was really about it. I mean, it was quick, to the point, with our players, and we moved on. So, and that's where our guys are at right now. And those guys we're focused on bigger and better things. And like I said, this has brought our team closer. It's made us, in my opinion, a much stronger football team and program, and that will continue.
Coach, we're going to go right in front of me, about 4 rows back. Kirk.
Kirk Bowles from the Austin American-Statesman.
Oh, yeah. How are you doing?
Brian, you're clearly familiar with Texas and coached against Oklahoma. How steep do you think their learning curve will be once they join the league?
Well, they got time. That's one thing. And I've followed Texas. Just having a chance to coach there, I've always followed that program, and I've always appreciated people that were a part of that program, and my time with Mac, being in Austin, and know some of the staff there as well. Both staffs really. And so that opportunity, when that comes, they're going to have. They're building their teams. They're figuring out in their own conference right now. I mean, they got to win now. That's really what the focus is, I would imagine, for those teams. But when it comes time, when they enter the league, and who knows, by then there could be a few more changes. At that point, we don't know that. I mean, this thing is changed, significantly in a short amount of time. But both those programs they're powerful programs. They got a lot of support, playing in that league too, and both those teams in particular, and that Red River rivalry, that's a big game. And so you understand the passion that each fan base has. And so they're bringing, we're bringing 2 really good programs into this conference to be a part of what we're doing here.
Coach, we're going to go all the way to the back, right in front of the goalpost there, straight ahead of me.
Hey, Coach, Mike Griffith here with AJC Dog Nation. Yesterday, Kirby Smart spoke of the importance of Georgia getting their home game back in Athens against Florida. I guess I'd ask you to reflect now as an Auburn man, how important was it in Auburn history, do you think, when Pat Dye was able to move the Iron Ball back to the Auburn campus as far as the importance of that home recruiting weekend?
Yeah, I was never a part of that before. I've heard the Pat Dye story, and I think everybody that was a part of it thought that was the right move. And that was big time for him to be able to get that done. So, having a chance to play in your home stadium, I mean, that's a special opportunity for your teams. It's a reason why guys come to your programs, because they want to play there. They want to be a part of that. So I think what Pat Dye did, making that happen, and certainly what we experienced this last year in the Iron Bowl, those things, you just don't get that, I don't think, in another venue, in my opinion. So I don't know all the details of what George is dealing with and things like that, but as far as what Coach Dye was able to get done for Auburn and Alabama and how that Iron Bowl has worked out, I mean, everybody knows in the country what the Iron Bowl is. Doesn't matter where you are. If you watch college football, you know that game, and you are watching it. And whether it's played in Jordan-Hare or in Tuscaloosa, either way, I mean, people are going to be viewing that, and it's a big game, and it's just different.
Coach, we'll go right down here in front of me, second row. Bob.
Hey, Brian. Bob Holt, Arkansas Democrat. Is that I had a two-parter. Kevin, he's always good at helping out if a coach forgets the second part. You guys had a great one in Fayetteville last year. Then obviously the rest of the season didn't go your way. How tough was that? Maybe how's that impacted motivation with the guys going into this season? And then the second part, you had two veteran SEC guys as coordinators. Then you made changes and promoted guys you were more familiar with. How do you think that's worked out? And why did you decide that was important to do?
Yeah, the Arkansas game, that was a good game for us against a really good team. Coach Pittman has done a tremendous job in that program, without question. And you could tell, I mean, that's one of the most physical teams that we played. And you knew that going in. You knew that mentality was going to be a part of that program. So we were very fortunate to win that game. Our guys did play well. We executed well in that game. And then, the second half of the season didn't go our way, but there's reasons why. You can go back and after every game, you evaluate, okay, what were the things that happened? And there are things that we can control. There's things that we can do better. And so, that's a continuation of just learning from that and applying it to this season. Second part of the question was?
About the coordinators change?
The coordinator change. Yeah, I mean, those guys, right now, Jeff Schmedding and Eric Keesaw, both those guys, I think, one, let me just back up a little bit. I do know them, but they're very qualified to be in the roles that they're in. Jeff Schmedding is one of the best football coaches I have ever coached with. And I'd like to say that I've coached with some really good coaches and been around some great and fantastic people. And he knows the game. He prepares himself, one of the best I've ever seen. He's able to articulate the vision and the message that he wants to get to the staff and the players. And, he's one of those guys, as a head coach, you don't have to worry about. He's going to get the job done because it's more important to him than it is to me. And you want to be around guys like that. Eric Keesaw is no different. Eric is a guy that I've worked with, coach wide receivers, have known him for a long time, got a great story. We work really well together. I think we mesh well. I think the ideas that I have and he has and the staff has are all going to be implemented into what we do on the offensive side of the ball because he can organize people, he can align people, and he can get his vision and message across very clearly. So both those guys, they're great coaches, and that's the reason why they're in the position that they're in. And Rock Ballantoni, who's going to be our special teams coordinator, he's been a head coach before. He's been around football quite a long time, and he's one of those guys that knows the position that I'm in and how important that special teams coordinator is to go relay the message to the entire football team. And that's one of the beauties of your special teams coordinator. He gets the whole entire team. So all three of those guys, I don't worry one bit about what they're doing each and every day and how they're doing it because their jobs are more important to them than it is to me. And so you just want to be surrounded by people like that are driven and motivated, and they want to be the best. They want to be great. And everything I've seen from our players responding to those coaches has been absolutely perfect. Those guys are doing a great job connecting, they're communicating, they're doing all the things they need to be doing as coordinators. And as far as the staff cohesion, I think the reason why we're a lot further along is because those three are leading that and making those things happen.
Okay, we have time for two more questions. We're going to start in front of me about 3/4 of the way back.
Hey, Coach. Henry Patton, AuburnSports.com. Hey, the running back group and the defensive line group have gotten hype, and deservedly so. But is there any other position group that's kind of flown under the radar that you think will shock people this year or surprise people this year?
Well, I think there's a lot of other positions. I'm really excited. I like our tight ends. That's a part of what we do in our offense. So I've always felt like that group will continue to shine in some of the things that we're able to do offensively. But I'm really, I'm excited about where the O-line's at. I think the guys are stronger and bigger, and they put a lot of work in. And that's been a group that, since I got to Auburn, that has kind of been under the microscope. And so, we've got to be able to handle the guys up front and do a great job, especially with two great tailbacks behind them. So I like where the O-line's at. And then, we'll see where our secondary ends up. I think we've got some good young players in the secondary. You haven't seen them. They're unproven on the football field, but we get to see them every single day, and the work that they put in and what Coach Etheridge is doing with that group. So those are just a couple there that I feel good about and guys that have stood out.
Take one final question, and Coach over here to our left.
Coach Harsin, Tobias Wilborn, AL.com. Hope you're having a good day.
Thank you.
Two parts. One, you went on a lot of stops during the spring. What were some of your favorites? And then, as an Auburn coach, how important is it to you to keep the Georgia game, to keep the Alabama game, as scheduling may potentially change in the next couple of years?
Yeah, no doubt. Well, so all those events, you got a chance to be a part of a few of those as well. Anytime you're with Bruce Pearl, it's no fun. All right? So those that know Bruce. We had a great time. Bruce is phenomenal. Alan Green was at a few of those. Dr. Roberts was at a few of those. President Roberts was at a few of those opportunities as well. But those were chances. We don't get a chance to go out in the spring and recruit. So those are opportunities for us to get around people and talk about our program and where we're going and just share that message. And every single event, I wouldn't say there was a bad one. Every one of them was fantastic. We had a good time. Bruce and I, Cole Kublik, other Andy Burcham, they got to help with that and just MC it. And we got a chance to answer some questions. But those are always a good time. And so I appreciate that, and we enjoy doing those things. And so, that's an important part of just what we do. That's an important part of just building, those relationships and connecting with people and sharing that experience as well. And then what was your second part?
Important. Scheduling Georgia, Alabama.
Yeah, so, just as far as, those games, that's go back, Georgia and Auburn, right? There's history. Alabama, Georgia, or Alabama, Auburn. There's history. Those teams, we're going to play each other. There's history in those games. And I know this. I know our players are excited about having an opportunity to play those teams. And one of the things, too, it really fits into our footprint in recruiting. Georgia's got great football players in that state. Alabama's got great football players. And, so I think those games, whether it's the Iron Bowl or having a chance to play against Georgia, those are important games for Auburn and certainly ones that you want to play in and you want to be successful in, because right now, those are the games that you get an opportunity to go in there and play well and win those games. It changes your season. It propels you very quickly, to be one of the more successful teams. So I'm sure that will continue and certainly, something that in the history of these programs has been really, really important to where we are now.
Coach, thank you for your time this morning.
All right, thank you.